Another fun story here. I found this to be amusing. When we all test positives, drivers complain about marijuana at Las Vegas Grand Prix. Franco Colapino joked about the pungent smell of marijuana at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the Williams driver saying if the drivers were tested after practice, it would have been a mess. Which I think is absolutely hilarious. I know a few people, obviously, who've been to Vegas. I personally have not. But what I am told is that it is quite prevalent. It is everywhere, and you can smell it all over the place. If that's the truth, I'm sorry, but it is hilarious because he obviously has no idea what it takes to test positive for that. But I think it's funny that it is so pungent that drivers are complaining about it. Formula One is racing in Sin City for the second time. But while last year it was loose driver drain covers that blighted practices, this year it was weed. When all the tests are positive, there will be a mess. That's hilarious. Marijuana is one of the many substances that Formula One drivers are banned for using under the FIA anti-doping regulations for the sport's governing body. It had Colapino joking that it would be a mess if the drivers were tested in Nevada. There was never a race in Holland. No one has ever had this experience before. Now that you're racing in the United States on a more frequent basis, many states have this. I've been to a couple of NASCAR races where the interior of the track smelled like marijuana. Absolutely. I find it funny. It's a cute story. There was a smell of marijuana, the Argentinian driver said after practice. If they dope the drivers now, I think we'll all test positive. When we all test positive, there'll be a mess. Sergio Perez also wasn't happy with the strong smell in the air, telling DAZN that it was something the drivers would have to speak to FIA about. It was very noticeable around the track as the smell of marijuana, he said. I'm tired of it already. The amount is incredible. How much weed are you guys smoking out there in Las Vegas? I mean, I know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but whew, that's an open air. That's open air. It's not like you're inside of an arena. You're not inside the football stadium. You're on Main Street. This is it. I mean, this is open air. You're on the strip. This is great. It's something all the drivers will definitely talk about. Fans attending the Las Vegas Grand Prix are banned from bringing drugs into the circuit. However, weed is legal in Las Vegas. Although F1's testing policy isn't often discussed, Max Verstappen had a complaint earlier this year when he was woken early on a Friday morning of the Dutch Grand Prix for a drug test. The Dutch Grand Prix. That's Amsterdam. So you're telling me that Amsterdam isn't as bad as Vegas when it comes to this? I believe that to be the case, but this can't be the first time this has been an issue. I'm reading the word Dutch Grand Prix in here. That's kind of why I found this funny. That's why I wanted to do this. It had to be an issue at some point. I swear. I had a lovely morning this morning, the Red Bull driver revealed on his Twitch stream. So I'm in bed and suddenly the doorbell rings. I'm like, what the bleep? Who the bleep is ringing the doorbell at my motorhome? And then I look at my phone at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, what the is going on? So I go to the door and open the door. Yep, doping control at 7 a.m. I was like, great. What a great start to the weekend. And it took me an hour to get to the toilet, so that was also fantastic. Wonder why it took an hour to get to the toilet. Typically, you don't have much of an issue going to the toilet when you first wake up. Right, guys? Yet, I don't know why, but this year I've been tested already 5 times, which I think in F1 is quite a lot. I don't want you driving high, dude. An amusing story. I thought as more states legalize marijuana, and the president-elect said that he's for rescheduling and decriminalization, as this becomes more prevalent, situations like this may become more of an issue. I am, of course, for the decriminalization, and it's a states' rights issue. It's just like any other controversial issue that shouldn't be in the federal realm. That should be a states' rights issue. And I think that's the direction to go. It was just recently rejected in Florida. So if they do a Grand Prix in Florida, this won't be a problem. You just got Florida man running out on the track. You have a Grand Prix in Texas. Won't be a problem there. It's not legal in Texas. Now, if you do one in Los Angeles, this might be a problem again. So as this becomes more national and probably more international in the Western world, I guess expect this to be more in the news. Expect this to be more in the news. I kind of think it's funny. I kind of think it's amusing. It makes me laugh. And it's on the lighter side of the news. Not everything needs to be gloom and doom. We can look at some things like this and kind of associate it with the bigger issues in the world, while having a little bit of a smile doing it. Marijuana smoke at a Grand Prix. Is it a big deal? To an extent. You don't want to bring your kids there and have them doing that, experiencing that. But is it the end of the world? No. The F1 drivers, I kind of feel this isn't the first time they've experienced this. Kind of crying foul a little bit for something that isn't a huge deal. And as it becomes, like I said, as it becomes more of a states' rights issue and more states legalize it, and other states won't, this will just continue to be an issue in other things, in other sports. I think auto racing is definitely one of those where you probably shouldn't be getting too high. I know the NBA has made it part of the collective bargaining agreement where it's no longer an issue for them. And other sports may do the same. But driving 200 miles an hour in a couple 1,000-pound piece of equipment, maybe you want to be on the straight and narrow. But you're not going to get too high from just smelling it in the crowd. You don't have a lot to worry about. But in the end, it's a fun story. Something I wanted to bring to your attention. And hey, stay sour.